Jen,
Brian.
if you could travel to any point in history, you hop in the DeLorean, hit 88 miles per hour, where are you going?
Ancient Egypt.
Okay, why?
It's always fascinated me.
Uh-huh.
I love cats.
They have a lot of cats.
And I want to know if the pyramids were built by aliens.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, probably not.
Probably not.
You know,
But you never know.
Throwing that in there. I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I've always just found that particular period of time very fascinating.
Very cool.
How about you?
Oh, I don't know. You know what place would be pretty cool? This is going to come out of left field. I think that I would like to visit the court of Kublai Khan,
Okay.
Mongolia-era China.
Very cool. And why?
It just seems like a very interesting point in history. There's a lot of art, a lot of culture. It seems like a type of place that there would be lots to see and experience.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right. Very nice. This is episode 3.
Uh-huh.
This is Hall Pass.
Uh-huh.
We are here to give you your Hall Pass, talking about all things education, talking about the school system, talking about learning, talking about student success, tips for parents, educators. That's what we're doing.
Yes, and today we're talking about maybe some pseudo-science that has crept into the education system and how it's been impacting the way education is being delivered in the classroom.
Absolutely. And so hopefully this will be the permission slip for educators to maybe flip the bird at the pseudoscience and do things a little bit differently. I love it.
Learning styles.
Thumbs down. This is how we feel about learning styles. Hey, Brian, what's your learning style?
Well,
Without diving into it,
a previous version of Brian may have said that I was an auditory learner.
Okay. And if we said to our listeners, what's your learning style?
They're going to say, oh, I'm hands-on, or I need to read something.
I am such a visual learner.
Oh, yeah. Where does all this come from? Why are we associating the way we learn with one mode?
Because
integrating
somebody
information.
a long time ago said, not even that long ago, I guess, if it was the 80s, I think, when it officially became a thing. So it's not that old because I'm also a product of the 80s. But it's somebody thought it sounded good and we ran with it.
Yeah, so when we're talking about learning styles, we're talking about, am I a visual learner? Am I an auditory learner? So there's what's called the VAK model, the VAK model, visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Or sometimes you have the VARK model, which is visual, auditory, reading, kinesthetic. There's the COBE model. All of these models basically are built on the premise that there is one mode of integrating and organizing information in our head that is the way that we learn.
Correct.
And there's a fundamental flaw with this, and that is the fact that we have the capacity, because we have incredible machines between our ears, to interpret, integrate, organize, and recall information through multiple different modes.
Yes.
Where we don't just learn one way, we have the capacity to learn multiple different ways.
Yes. And if we are picking one way that we learn best and only ever learning that way, we are doing ourselves a huge disservice. And if we are identifying students as a certain type of learner, then only teaching them in that way that they learn best, then we are doing them a huge disservice because we are not preparing them for the real world and for life, and not letting them use and develop the brain to the best of its potential.
So I think that it's absolutely true that we have preferences.
Absolutely.
Right? We have modes that we've greased the grooves, as my old boxing teacher would say. as humans, we like doing what we find easy. We like we like practicing what we already know.
Yes.
So if listening and recalling information is easy to you, well, you may feel like you're an auditory learner. There's that anecdotal evidence that, this is a way that you learn and integrate information. But in truth, we need to be using all our different modes. We need to be able to visually process information. We need to be able to auditorily integrate information and recall information, get our hands dirty. And I think that where this whole learning style pseudoscience, this myth, neuromyth, comes from is mistaking preference for like the only capacity of learning.
I would agree.
Yeah.
And I think that there's multiple studies. There's, a quite famous style of learning to read for students who have learning disabilities, specifically dyslexia. A lot of our program, what we do is designed on the same thing, and then some, that students learn best when their learning is multimodal. So we need the visual and the auditory and the kinesthetic. We need opportunities to do all of the above. And I think that's a good starting point, is to not just do what we think that we should do. Because,
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that I would mention too is there's been a lot of studies debunking learning styles. So studies where they would have one group specify their preferred mode of studying and were taught in that mode, and a control group where that didn't happen, and the end results were indistinguishable. There are other studies as well where the subjects they expressed what they believed that their learning style was, and observed that even identifying that this is my learning style, when they went to go study and work through material, they didn't necessarily grab that preferred mode. They did the thing that made the most sense.
And I think that's the key right there. And I do think it's a little bit of self-fulfilling prophecy. I am a visual learner, so if you're telling me something, I'm never going to remember it. So I think any studies that may have been done of, you're a visual learner, use visual strategies, you're an auditory learner, use auditory strategies. If you think you're going to do well, you're going to do better than if you go into it thinking, I'm going to bomb this, I'm never going to remember anything. So I think that's something to also take into mind, is any of these old studies, and just in general, any studies, is there's always that bias factor in there. But you said something to me as we were, sort of getting ready and set up, and that was, you can't read to learn how to sing. And I thought, that's such a that just sums it up in such a nice little package. You can't read to learn how to sing. So even if you're a visual learner, it's not going to help you to read about, you want to learn about some theory and things like that, but how are you going to learn to sing? By listening, by doing.
Yeah, you can't just watch someone run and then pick up that skill, right? Like it's multimodal, and how we learn is multimodal. And the solution to how to deliver programming in a classroom should be through a universal design, through multimodal design. Because these learning styles, they don't only just do the kid a disservice, they do the teachers a disservice, right? Because in a practical sense, when you have a classroom for all kids, when you have 35 kids, you don't have the capacity to individually teach each student to their learning style or their preferred mode.
Right.
That's just
it's impossible.
Not practical.
Yeah.
Right. So a good program would make use of multiple different modes, right? So that you do have a visual component, you do have auditory, you do have some kinesthetic stuff built in, but perhaps the biggest underpinning is making sure that there's the metacognition piece
Yep.
as well. So having the student be able to reflect
Yep.
on what worked, what didn't work, how they, thinking about how they learn,
Yep.
and having them adopt best practices that are working for them.
Yeah,
Right.
And that reflection piece, and before even hopping into a task, here's your options for how to tackle this. What do you think you're going to do today? What strategy do you want to give a try? And they might start off with what they feel comfortable with, and we talked about this a little bit before, where you can't always just do what's easy and what works, and so maybe they don't always have that option, but it's that pre-reflection, that pre-learning.
The critical
What are
thinking.
we doing? Yes, the critical thinking, exactly. What am I going to be doing? Why do I think this strategy will be helpful? Do the thing using the strategy, and then at the end, reflecting. Did it work? Did reading to learn how to sing, was that effective? Nope. So I'm going to try something different next time. And then next time you're doing it, this is what I tried last time, it wasn't super effective. Can I build upon what I did, or do I need to, think outside the box, or just pull a different tool out of the toolkit and try something different? And that reflection piece, kids aren't going to do it automatically. Teachers aren't going to do it automatically. It's a learning process.
It's a learned skill.
It's a very learned skill. And so starting that process, eventually it will become automatic, but it's something that needs to be, the time needs to be taken to do it. And it's huge what you're going to see if you start actually thinking critically about it.
Absolutely. Now, we have a number of our clients who listen to this podcast, and they're going to say, Jen, Brian, when we first started in your programming, the very first thing you did was a cognitive assessment.
Yes.
And you measured my child's visual processing, auditory processing.
Yeah.
So there, and there was, areas that they were better at. There are areas that are behind at, perhaps. Why are you now saying that learning styles don't matter when you went out of your way to identify where my child's strengths are and where their weaknesses are?
Yeah. And we're going to say, well, learning styles matter, but it's about that preference, and we're also going to identify areas of weakness so that we can help them develop those skills so that they have that toolkit to pull from.
Yeah.
And I will always tell somebody, we're going to teach your child in the way they learn best, the way that they're going to best receive that information. That's how we're going to help them develop the skills. If they are much stronger in their current ability to process information visually, then I'm not going to fire a bunch of auditory information at them. And that's not a preference, that's their current cognitive profile.
Yeah, we're measuring if there's a kink in the chain, the perception cognition chain, right?
Yes.
And our brains are neuroplastic,
Yes.
right?
Love.
Our brains can learn and adapt.
Yes.
And make new connections over time. So if a child comes in and their visual perception skills are, let's say, particularly weak, well, this is something that we can practice and develop and
Exactly.
and grow those skill sets, right?
Yeah, we can use their area of strength to develop that weakness,
Yep.
to bring it up to the same level. So now they're on a more even playing field to have that ability to think critically and to say, I think I'm going to try this strategy instead. And we're just adding to that toolkit.
Yeah, so that we're not just always going to grab the same tool out of the toolkit. We're using the appropriate tool, right?
Exactly.
A way I like to think about it is, you got to do leg day at the gym every once in a while.
Otherwise, you're going to look goofy.
You're going to look goofy, right? So that's the reason why we do this, is so that we can identify where the students' strengths are, but also where the weaknesses are, and how we could build those weaknesses up so that they have more tools at their disposal, so that they could take the right tool for the job,
Yeah.
right, and have the confidence and the self-esteem and the trust that they could use that tool
Exactly.
effectively and know that it's going to help them.
Yeah. This
Right.
is making me think of a hammer I have at home. And this was, I feel like it was my grandfather's hammer.
Yeah.
And then my dad used this hammer, and somehow it ended up in my toolbox. This is in my toolkit. And when you go to use the hammer, if you're not careful, the head goes flying off. And it's like, why am I still using this hammer?
That sounds like a wildly reckless hammer.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I have a perfectly good hammer that works, but there's just something about this hammer. I'm like, I got it. You know, so we're helping them super glue, Gorilla Glue the head of the hammer to the handle so that it doesn't go flying off. We are strengthening the tool. That's what had, just immediately popped in my head.
I
is
love
this,
that. That's great.
The head of it literally flying off and just making things infinitely worse. And so we are making things not infinitely worse.
I'm terrified for you whenever you do any renovation projects now.
That's a good idea just in general to be terrified. There's always room for improvement. Yeah.
So to recap,
Yes.
learning styles.
Important as far as understanding different modalities of learning, but pigeonholing yourself or a student into a specific learning style, garbage.
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 Garbage. Universal design.
Not garbage.
Not garbage. Metacognition.
Super important.
Super important.
Thinking about thinking.
Thinking about thinking.
A skill that needs to be developed, but once it's there, unlocks the world of learning. Yes.
There we go.
That's it.
There we go.
That's it.
There's our opinions there. Before we leave, what we wanted to do is we also wanted to shout out some students that we've been working with that have just been blowing our minds with the amount of progress that they've made, the connections that they're making, the work ethic.
Yeah.
So let's celebrate some kiddos.
Let's celebrate some kiddos. When we said we were going to do this, the first student that popped into my mind is Ellery, and she comes from my St. Thomas Center, and she made a connection. This is a story that I will never not tell. Every once in a while, these things happen that stick with you. I've been doing this for a long time, and this is one that is going to stick with me. And she came to us terrified of math. And she said, I can't do this, it's impossible, she's not getting good grades, the usual. I just got distracted. ADHD moment, guys, sorry, there's a truck out there. And so she was terrified, and she was working through the concept of multiplication with these big numbers. And as we were nearing the end, she was getting so stressed out because she knew she had to work on long division next. And she said, I can't do it, I tried at school, it's not happening, blah, blah, blah. And we talked about this. We talked about different strategies. We built her up, and we celebrated when she did well. And the first day that we open up this long division book, and I said, I know that you're terrified, but you can do this. Think about what we already know. And that's, one of my taglines is think about what we already know. And she went, wait, is division just backwards multiplication? And I said, yep. And she went, oh, this is easy. And then I got goosebumps and I teared up a little bit and her mom was waiting in the lobby and I got up and ran and told her, and it was just this big aha light bulb on moment. And those are the moments that keep me doing what I'm doing. They don't happen every day. We love when they happen. There's little breakthroughs all the time, but that big of a scale, that big of an exciting moment. And since then, that moment, you could see her confidence grow. You could see her sit taller.
She's self-identifying as someone who's capable of doing math.
Exactly.
I like to tell everyone that math. The biggest problem with math is math has a PR problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It sounds intimidating.
But it's it can feel intimidating.
It can feel intimidating.
But it's possible.
It's absolutely possible.
Yeah. So huge shout out to my friend Ellery for this moment and this ability to throw that idea out there, to have that confidence to shout it out and to be excited and to just be like a math superstar.
I love it.
Yeah. I'm excited to hear yours now.
I want to talk about Gavin.
Okay.
So Gavin, he's a high school student.
Okay.
He is an absolute gem of a human being, all right? The sweetest kid, but has dysgraphia.
Okay.
Right? And some pretty, it can be challenging for him sometimes. So reading can be something that really stresses him out. And then being in high school, all the downstream effects of being in a classroom where you're expected to do a lot of reading and writing.
Yeah.
So his default mode was just to put things off, just to kind of be chill one mode, and underneath get stressed out about all the work that's piling up.
I can relate, Gavin.
Yeah. But over the course of the last year, so like I think it was grade 10 for him, something clicked where he just started to get more engaged with school. He would bring in his homework. He's like, I've completed this homework, but I just need someone to look it over just because I'm self-conscious about my writing. But it was so incredible to watch him start to take a huge amount of pride in learning, right? And become an active player in his own education instead of just kind of like being pulled along the current. And the funny thing was, as he worked hard at this, everything became easier for him. He found out the workarounds that he needed to do in order to make sure that he was able to accomplish all the reading that he was able to do for his classes, and just see the change in his attitude from being kind of a detached, apathetic kid to someone who genuinely likes school and is now planning about what his life is going to look like after high school.
That's amazing.
And coming in and bragging about his marks,
Amazing.
which has gone up like, I want to say about 30% on average.
That's amazing.
He was one of those, like, if I got 50, that's good enough.
Yep.
And now he holds himself to a higher standard where he wants to be in the top group of his class.
That's amazing.
Right. So very proud of seeing Gavin put all this together.
That's so fantastic. Good job, Gavin. I love it. All right. If you liked what you heard, give us a like, a subscribe, a share. We are trying to build this up. We are trying to get lots of people listening. So we would very much appreciate if you would do those things. If you liked it, give us a 5-star review. If you didn't like it, then just don't leave us a review.
Yep, that's the deal.
That's it.
All right.
All right. We'll
Thank
see
you,
you again
everybody.
soon. Thanks.